Hey, what's up? Don't worry, it's not the same class. It's not the same class. I'm just trying to bring us back to some of the things we discussed in the last class. So, like I said, today we'll be focusing on Aristotle's um, principles. So, what were his ideas? So, this is just to show us the things we did in the last class. We covered lesson outcomes, introduction to ancient economic thoughts. So, we started at Platon's principles. We are left with just this guy. Aristotle. We talked about ancient economic thoughts. Features of ancient economy, then Plato, Sideman himself, okay, and some of his principles brought in. Yeah, I believe you guys remember all of these things: division of labor, political and economic system, private property, money, interest, all sorts of things. We spoke about things he said about all of these things. All right, so today we're talking about Aristotle. So Aristotle lived between 384 BC and 322 BC. He was a Greek philosopher and was born in Macedonian Empire and was a student of Plato. But to me, I don't know if this is a very important detail, but I think you may want to be knowing these things. So yeah, you should, I don't know, give you more marks in if you were to have an exam, for example, and you're talking about the ideas of Aristotle. So maybe just try to figure a way to memorize these dates and just this introductory detail. Okay, but I think the most important thing is the principles, but I don't know, for the sake of marks. Alright, so Aristotle spoke about private property. Here, he disagreed with Plato. And I think one thing that we should notice is that Aristotle happens to be Aristotle was one of Plato's students. He was one of Plato's students. But then, it's all cool. So his teacher said something and he disagreed. Alright, so to him, people should own private properties, and it gave reasons. Alright, so he criticized communism and that was postulated by Plato. Alright, and it stated that property should be in a certain sense common, but as a general rule private. So to me, I think what it meant there was everybody should own property. Okay, like everyone should own a property. So like property should be in a certain sense common, like everyone should own property. But as a general rule, private. So it's not like communism where everybody owns everything and nobody owns anything. Okay, I believe you understand what I said. Everybody owns everything and nobody owns anything. So if there is a car, for example, not part of what they said, I'm just trying to explain, like illustrate. So if there is a car, for example, and I happen to take the car to a restaurant, someone else can take the while I'm in the restaurant. So I may come out and I may not find the car again. Someone else may have taken the car to somewhere to another place. Someone I don't know, someone I know is taking the car to another place. So the car is something that belongs to everybody. So everyone has property, but nobody has property. Yeah, something like that. So the car belongs to everybody, but nobody can say this is my car. So you can't say my car. Alright, so but what Aristotle is saying that you should be able to say this is for me, this is my own. So he disagreed with Platon in that aspect. So to him, he stated the benefits of private properties, some benefits. So private property helps in tolerating each other as men won't complain of one another. Alright, so if you have a property, let's talk about a common good. So because of course you should know about a common good as at this particular period. So let's say like a river where everybody is going to fish. So if I happen to have if I can make it, or let me say maybe a pond. Okay, let's say a pond. If I have a pond that belongs to everybody, so some people might be catching fish excessively than others. Okay, so and we may not things like that when they happen, like we don't get to tolerate each other. It's just like when you're eating, some of you eat with you eat maybe it's as a family eat in a big bowl, but there are some people that are fast eaters or heavy eat. They are fast eaters and they are heavy eaters, right? And there are some that eat slowly, and they may also be heavy eaters and they may not be heavy eaters, but they eat slowly. The differentiation here is how fast and slowly you eat. Okay, so you have the fast eaters, they finish the whole food before the slow eaters can take 1 or 2 spoons. Understand? So when things like that continue, you don't get to tolerate each other anymore. But when there's private property, so I have my own plate of food. So whatever time, if I want to take 10 years to finish it, it's fine. It's okay by me. And then you have your own plate of food, you can finish it in 2 seconds. It's okay, right? So it helps us to tolerate one another. So there should be private property. So one thing I want us to realize from all of this is that whatever principles these guys were putting forth, it was judged by what was happening around them. And I've been trying to stress that even from our very first class, that the policies, that the ideas, their principles were based on their circumstances and their reaction to it. So they were more or less just trying to make things better for themselves, from what they were saying. As for Plato, he probably saw people chasing excessive wealth, and it was like, no. So this is the detriment of the state. And for Aristotle, like, no, that's saying that we should have private property is not. It's like a cool thing. It's like a cool thing. Then he also so another point that he made for another argument he made for private property was that it aids economic progress. Now, why? Each man protects what he has and aims to have more. Okay, so if everybody wants to have more to a reasonable degree, all of us want to have more things, and that is only possible when we have private properties. So today you have a shirt, and tomorrow you want two shirts or a shirt of a better quality. So those things will force you to work more, and those things will force everybody to work more. Let me say it will force an increase in productivity. So that's the point I'm trying to make. An increase in productivity simply means there are more goods around, and economic growth is just talking about the increment in GDP to finish. All right. So because you want more, you have to kind of do more. Okay. You have to do more, and doing more would aid economic growth. So that's possible. But if you say people shouldn't own properties, they can just well, have you been to maybe a school toilet before, or maybe a government-owned facility? It belongs to the government. So some people would bastardize it. They wouldn't use it well. Let me say maybe a public toilet, so they don't flush it. That's not the way they do at home. But here, nobody cares. Like it's not mine. Something like that. So those are the things that happen. So everybody just does anyhow. But when something belongs to you, you want it to be in good shape. You want it to be okay. You want it to increase. You want good things to increase. You want bad things to decrease. So as you are wanting good things to increase, then you're talking about economic growth. If you want bad things to decrease, you're talking about economic development. All right. So in addition, men derive pleasure in being kind to friends as a matter of hospitality, which only arises with each one owning his property. So I come to your house. So there's this pleasure as a man that you derive in being able to show hospitality to me. Okay, I come to your house, maybe as a teacher. There was one guy, I've never seen him in my life. Just from posting YouTube classes and then WhatsApp status. I don't know if they'll be WhatsApp in the period. So from a northern school, and was like he was telling me I've added a lot of value to his life. He would really want us to meet on a particular. He really wants God to make our paths cross and for us to meet physically, because I'm more of the online guy, right? So imagine that we eventually get to meet and he gets to invite me to his house. If for someone that happens to place that kind of value on whatever I said I've done to him, I've never met him, so it's just more or less putting our classes on, and he's not a member of our school. So I don't know, from whatever crumbs that he's able to get. So he says he values those things. So imagine two of us meeting at his place, and let's assume that he's also well to do at that moment. Do you know how much this person would really, really want to satisfy me, because of what value I've added to him based on his own judgment? You understand? But when there is no private property, that pleasure is not there. Okay, that pleasure is not there. So these are the three arguments. Or I don't know if there are more arguments, but these are three of the arguments that Aristotle made for private property ownership. Okay. Then he also spoke about production and distribution. So according to Aristotle, the aim of production is consumption. Alright, the aim of production is consumption. So production should stop when consumption is attained. So basically, you look at it that it seems Aristotle was trying to get the concept of utility. So, like I said, you have to be careful with your language, because there is no utility in this code, in ancient code. So utility comes under the last topic that we are going to do for this course. That's why you have utility as a concept. Okay, so there's no utility here, so you just have to be careful. But it seems that he was tending towards that idea. Okay, production should stop. So when people are satisfied, so what else? Why is still producing? Okay, excessive production could go to waste, or end in doing harm. And so when you have too much than what people need, so it's gonna go to waste or end in doing harm in one way. Perhaps some people get to take too much of what is existing because of course it's in surplus. So if after personal satiation is reached and surplus food exists, remember one of the principal um, pillars of this school of this era was that was the focus on agriculture. Agriculture was the main thing. So crafts comes later, but agriculture was the main thing. So if excess food exists, it should be allocated to the rearing of children. So if after taking care of yourself and your household, okay, and you have excess food, it should be dedicated to the rearing of children. And see, a reason why I said that is that child mortality was high in its time, so it was influenced by that circumstance. Okay, it was influenced by child mortality was high during its time, so that influenced what it said about excess food. So I believe that during this period as well, Aristotle was seeing people that were, that had wealth, that had surplus, surplus food, basically wealth, that had wealth, and they were not using it to, they were not using it to abate child mortality. Okay, it's as if they were closing, yeah, they were turning a blind eye, okay, to the child mortality that was happening, and they were chasing profit, like they were chasing, let me say gain, language again. So they were chasing excessive gain. So it was better for them to sell to people that to take care of those that are really in need around them. So Aristotle was more of like it was more of it was more of the welfare guy. Yeah, let me put it that way. Same as Plato, more of the welfare guy, take care of people that are needing this thing. So it shouldn't be about gain every now and then. So for him, he divided production into two things. So there's natural transaction, and there's unnatural transaction. So natural transaction is the production of goods for subsistence purpose, just to take care of yourself, right? Production of goods to take care of yourself and your household. Then unnatural transactions, this refers to the commercial production of goods which give room for excessive wealth accumulation. So like people intentionally producing for the sake of gain. So where people are dying around, children are dying around, but it's none of your business. What you want is gain. So unnatural transactions became an end in itself during its time as people intentionally pursued monetary gains over the welfare of the citizens. So I think I've explained that we shouldn't dwell too much on it. Then usury. So this guy was the person that I think properly talked about usury, in properly put it in perspective. All right, during this particular period. So, like I mentioned in the last class, usury is the excessive interest on loans. So it's not just interest, like excessive. You can Google it. Excessive, very high interest on loans. So he argued that by charging usury, you are being unfair to borrowers because lenders are receiving monetary gain for no productive activity or value creation. I've explained that in the last class, so there's no point in wasting our time. So if you lend a certain amount, it was only fair to receive the same amount in return. Getting more for producing nothing of value is unethical. So to them, okay, lending people money was nothing of value. Okay, so that's just the point. That's the point we were trying to make. So lending people money was not a was not you can't classify that as a productive transaction So maybe during that period, maybe there was a lot of poverty, and people were not really using the money they borrowed for enterprise. You understand? So maybe people were just borrowing money to take care of themselves, and then you turn the blind eye to that and saying that they should give you more. So people are needy, and they come to you. And you have to have excess or something that you can part with, and they come to you and then you ask them to bring more. Like it's not fair. It's not fair. All right. So thus Aristotle was of the opinion that money is solely used as a medium. Money should be solely used as a medium of exchange and not a means of generating gain. Even though I wasn't careful here, not a means of generating gain by itself. All right. So another thing he spoke about was household economics. So he supported the slavery institution. We'll get to that. So we recognize household as a fundamental unit of society that's A, comprised of individuals with specific roles, then B, was self-sufficient rather. So there is it's this during this era that household responsibility. So as a household, you should be able to take care of the needs of everybody, right? And so that's what it's meant by self-sufficient. Everybody has every household with its own farm or farmlands, with that they are where they cultivate crops and rear animals, for their benefit. So something like that would not really. Okay, then let me see what's on my mind. Well, as far as food is concerned, each household should be sufficient or whatever. Don't let me just say food, whatever trade you are engaged in, because you may not be a farmer. Let's say you're a cobbler or a shoemaker, so you should be able to generate income that is enough to cater for the welfare of every member of that family. All right, so then C, um, households uh, purpose was the satisfaction of the basic human needs and the promotion of members' well-being. Basic human needs and the promotion of members' well-being. Then household possess slaves. All right. So this is something you have an assignment and you will be asked to do something. So possess slaves, as some people are born for the purpose of servitude and should be diligent about it. Some people are born for the purpose of. So what can you say about that? Well, that was what they believed then. So slave trade. If you remember, Joseph was sold as a slave, right? So that's the guy whose wife wanted to, you know, whatever happened. Okay, so there was slave trade then. So it was Aristotle supported the institution of slavery. So that's the point. So it was part of his household economics. All right, so like I said, these people were just being influenced really by the events at the time. All right, this I should dwell, reasonably on just price. Yes, because you have to understand just price. So just price means a fair price. Right, so that's the meaning of just price. So in transactions, in trade, this kind of thoughts advocates fair trading, just price. Okay, so let's just read to have a good view of what just price means. Aristotle argued that wealth, in terms of material goods, contributes to a flourishing life. So if you happen to have wealth in terms of material goods, you have a flourishing life. You understand? But then the intentional pursuit of wealth, the intentional pursuit of wealth, does not lead to a flourishing life. That was his idea. Okay, that was his own perspective. You know, because most of these guys are just coming from ethical perspective. So that was his own idea. So whether it is true or not, that's something else. But that was an idea that if your intention was to pursue wealth from the very beginning, then you're not going to have a flourishing life. But if by the virtue of whatever happens, you are blessed um material substance after taking care of your family, maybe your farmland yielded so much, you know, um crops, and then you take care of your family, and then you still have more that you can maybe save for a later date, or maybe trade for something else that you want, maybe something that helps you to be pursuing a little bit of luxury, comfortable things here and there. Understand? Then that leads to a flourishing life. But it shouldn't be your intention to pursue wealth. You understand? It can come around, but it actually be your primary goal. So he saw wealth without enterprise to be unjust. So we are going to talk about that. So the art of acquisition involves gaining material goods for the sake of the household, while the art of wealth getting involves raising one's financial wealth for its own sake. So you can see now the kind of wealth they are talking about involves gaining material. So it's wealth in terms of substance. There's something of value that you are producing that should give you wealth. For example, like I said, the surplus agricultural products. So something tangible, right? That you are producing something of value. You understand? It's excess of whatever you need as a household for subsistence. So that is their own classification of wealth, and I think it still stands even now. Okay, gaining material goods for the but the art of wealth getting involves raising one's financial wealth for its own sake. So it's just more of monetary wealth for its own sake. So the first type of wealth is necessary and honorable. So if you get wealth in terms of substance, in terms of value, right? So while that is honorable and that's even necessary, okay. While the other is unnatural and by extension dishonorable. So raising financial wealth for its own sake, okay, just getting money for its own sake. So I'm going to give an example for you to understand what he meant by saying raising financial wealth for its own sake. I'll give you an example. It may not be what you have in mind. So Aristotle mentioned that the just man will participate in exchange in a way that more is not unfairly attributed to himself and less to the other. Okay, so the trade that you are going to engage in, even though you have the opportunity to have more of the benefits ascribed to yourself, you don't do that as a just man. Okay, you can say it's still ethical point of view. You don't do that as a just man. So you ensure that the benefits that are put to you is a fair share of the transaction and that the other person also benefits. So it's not a zero sum game where, because when we get into mercantilism now you see something around that. So this is not a zero sum game. It's not as if when we engage in a trade, it benefits one person and then the other person loses out entirely. The benefits, only one party can get the benefit, the other person gets zero. So once somebody wins, the other person loses. So it's not like that. Okay. So the just man, as a just person, you will only participate in the exchange that you get your fair share, and then the other person gets a fair share. All right. For example, one who has surplus olives but lacks grains for the household to make bread, so you have more olives, may trade the olives for grains. So that's barter. So if exchange is not directly possible, you may first sell olive for money. This cool barter is like the main thing, but then there's still limited use of coins, so like they still use money. Okay, so still taking us back. So you may first sell olive for money and use the money to buy grain corresponding to the same value of the olives that he needs. Okay, so the action is just because valuable goods of corresponding value are exchanged. So I'm exchanging something of substance, olive, in the sand, and I'm using it to get a corresponding value of grain in the sand. So that's a just exchange. Now we are still going to what the just price is. So in this case, money has only served as a medium of exchange. Whatever amount is spent is a just price. Whatever amount is spent is a just price. So now let's understand it very well. But if as a merchant, now who is a merchant? Somebody who trades in what he or she didn't produce, like traders. You understand? These wholesalers, retailers, and stuff. Okay, something like that in today's language. So the middleman, so basically the middleman. So if as a merchant you bought a shoe worth 2,000 naira, this was not their example, please. Just to make you understand this. Okay, you bought a shoe worth 2,000 naira in a nearby village and sold it for 3,000 naira in your village. You bought a shoe of 2,000 naira in a nearby village and sold it for 3,000 in your village. You have made an unfair profit of 1,000 naira at the expense of the buyer. Why? The 3,000 naira was not a just price. The 3,000 naira was not a just price. Besides, you never had a need for the shoe, but for your natural motive of wealth giving. Okay, you never had a need for the shoes, but the motive was for it to just get wealth, and that is unnatural. That's unnatural. You understand? So why would you charge 3,000 naira? You bought something for 2,000. I should also sell it for 2,000 naira. 2,000 naira is the just price. Is a just price. So that's their concept of just price. So I was going to say something, but I won't say it again because it's part of the assignment. After this, the assignment. So the assignment for you is to critique the principles of the ancient economic thought as understood from this class alone. Critique the principles of the ancient economic thought as understood from this class alone, right? Because we still have another part, the Thomas Aquinas and then the Ibn but just from what you've understood from the first class, when I talked about Plato, and from this class that we talked about Aristotle, critique this school of thought. So that's about that. In our next class again, we are going to talk about who now? The remaining two guys, okay, from the ancient, economic era. So thank you very much, and see you next class.